Project Cactus was named after the Australian slang word meaning completely ruined. That's the state I found my 1969 Chrysler Valiant Ute in after I flew 10,000 miles from Michigan to Australia and met up with Autopian reader Lawrence, the madman who had purchased the vehicle on my behalf and agreed to spend 4 weeks trying to fix it, get it through Australia's strict vehicle inspection, and then drive it to the craziest, biggest ute show in the world, the Denny Ute Muster. So this is the normal. Kangaroos.
Just every day.
Every day. They're just deer. Lawrence has to avoid them.
Yeah, hitting on the few of my day. Bloody things. They're unpredictable.
They really are. Apparently they just bounce all over. But look at how many there are in this field.
Yeah. There's a good mob of about probably 40 or 50 that float around here.
Look at them. They're freaking everywhere.
Yeah. A couple of wallabies in there too.
The wallabies you don't want to hit, right?
No. They're solid little nuggets as well.
So there's a top tip. If you're gonna hit a marsupial, make sure it's not a wallaby because it's basically made out of lead.
Or a wombat, they're made out of concrete.
Okay, so day one of wrenching on the ute. Step one is to clean it out. And see all this? This is all rust brewing out. It's an absurd amount of rust, and I don't know what these are. They're like, as Lauren said, like little acme, bits of rust that they just come up. Very strange. Lawrence is doing some grinding in the cab. That's HUD doing the plasma cutting in the bed. My first look at the ute had me convinced it was hopeless. Lawrence and I went for it anyway, and a few neighbors, hearing of a zany American journalist trying to fix a broken old ute, joined in. More on HUD in a future episode. HUD and I reckon it's going to be easier to just cut small pieces of this out and then just patch it with steel instead of worrying about cutting parts out of that other one. So I'm just making some cuts here. We're going to try to keep the bottom so that we have a reference, and we'll just stitch in some steel. All right, Lawrence, what are you doing right now?
We're making some drainage holes in this tray, and I'm going to demonstrate that it doesn't go backwards.
The water. Look at that. What direction is that? Look at it.
That is clockwise, children.
That is a clockwise vortex. That very obvious. Oh, actually, that's oh, it's anti-clockwise. It isn't a lie. Okay, so what do we got going on right now, HUD? Got this blue piece in there.
A little bit of square tubing to make it a bit stronger.
So you've cut out this whole rectangular section.
Yeah, cut it out of the spare ute. Another rear section of the floor.
So okay, back here, yeah.
Yeah, a good section, and overlap it and weld it in this.
So it'll extend to roughly here.
Yeah, to cover the rest of the rusted spots that are here. Mm-hmm. Going to weld the top to it and just stitch the bottom to catch the bottom to it.
Okay, yeah.
And then when the other floor goes to it, we got a nice edge to weld to.
Oh, you're gonna go straight from the floor to yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's cool.
And we got a nice edge to weld to. You're not trying to weld to a rusty edge.
Yeah. I've cut out the rear section of this floor of this ute, and the plan is to use this rear section as the front section on the other ute. Here's Lawrence using Cleveland's finest.
Yep.
To take off
this tank strap bolt, and then this tank will fall straight out. So, bit of a weakness with these, they've only got one strap, and that's held in like a key slot. So if it pops out, for whatever reason, your tank is ejecto.
And that happened to you, right?
Yes, it did. So I put a cross strap in, and we'll do that with yours as well, because they're not having to happen a second time.
Single strap. That is cost savings at its finest.
Ejecto tanko, cuz.
All right, so what we're trying to do is get this floor from this ute out so that we can graft it into this ute. The problem is, we've tried drilling out all the spot welds, and it's still giving us issues. So Lawrence does not have time for this bullshit. So you can see what he's up to. He broke out the plasma cutter like the baller he is. Look at this, beautifully done.
I'm not asking anymore.
HUD has made some patch panels for the front floors. Still gotta make one for this funnel. And we're also gonna patch the parcel shelf. If someone puts these speakers in it and that's not allowed. You're not allowed to have a hole in that parcel shelf because, well, it goes to the outside. The Denny Ute muster was just 27 days away, and though we had cut out rust and we put some blueprints together for repairs and even welded in some patch panels, we still just had a completely bare body shell with no engine, no transmission, no interior whatsoever, no windshield, missing body panels, a suspension that literally had to be replaced in its entirety, an electrical system that had been exposed to the elements for probably decades, no brakes, no exhaust, no lights. We had so much work to do in just 27 days to do it. Hell, not even 27 days, because the next day, pretty much all we did was immerse ourselves into Australian car culture. Hot rod culture here is doing pretty well.
Yeah, there's still a lot of people who do traditional rods, so anything pre-48 falls under hot rod legislation, so they need to be engineered, but there's a lot more leeway with them as to like noise, engines they can put in, you know, chassis modifications, things like that. I'm not so much in that scene. I know some people who are, but yeah, it's a lot more leeway with them than it is with later street machines from say your 70s or 80s.
So when he says they need to be engineered, you actually have to have an engineer who signs off on your build to make sure it's safe. So whereas in the US you just go to Harbor Freight, get a $100 welder and go to town, here everything has to be gone through, and it's expensive and it's a real commitment, which is what makes this even more impressive to me, how many people are still into it, you know? All right, we just got done going to the basically after party for the car show.
Essentially, yeah, just out of the pub.
It was the second car show at the pub. It was great. We just talked to some kids who put a turbo on a 125cc dirt bike with the okay, it's normally oil fed. He keeps a can of WD-40 with him, and while he's riding, he'll just spray lubricate the turbo with his WD-40 can, which is insane.
So wild.
Anyway, we saw a guy try to do a burnout. He broke his axle shaft here.
Yep.
We saw some obscure Jeeps, and the whole thing was just great. So, anyway, that's it. Car show Sunday.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
No worries.
Wow. I'm at John's place, just outside of Dubbo here in Australia. Today you're going to learn about the Sandman, and you're going to see some incredible vehicles on John's property. He has some Sandmans, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know existed. I'm still not entirely sure exactly what it is. John, what is a Sandman? Like, what are we looking at here?
Righto, this is your panel van. This was, I think it was mainly brought out for the surfy type people, and they used to put their surfboards up on top and they'd go down the beach and they'd camp in the back of them, and yeah, basically they come out as mostly all V8s. V8 4-speeds.
So V8 4-speed, that's sort of a surfer car, but a high-powered sort of sports surfer car.
It's a sports version, yeah. So your normal van is, you know, like you can get your tradie type van, which is just whatever sort of thing. These have come out with the, you know, with the bucket seats, sports,
so
steering wheel.
This right here is like a normal van.
That's just your standard model van. That's just as it is. The only thing that when that come out, it wouldn't have had those wheels on it.
What's the model name of this?
It's called a HG Belmont.
There's just something cool about a panel van. It kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like a utilitarian, but also you got a big V8 and a 4-speed. It's like someone who wants to do work but have fun at the same time. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
This is a great property you got here, man. You're living the dream. You got a chassis right here. You got a school bus over here.
Yeah, the old school bus is there. Yeah.
What is that wagon?
It's HZ 1978 model.
Kingswood.
Kingswood. All right.
Kingswood.
great. Look at this little Holden ute with its own custom tray. So what exactly is a tonner? Like, so is any vehicle that holds 1 ton just called a tonner?
Yeah. Told someone you owned a tonner.
They knew this.
Yeah.
Then it's this vehicle right here.
This one.
Would be that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so it holds
Okay.
1,000 kilos on the back.
John just said these shipping containers are full of cars.
Oh, it's got parts in there as well. But
Doors, we got a front.
yeah, there's a HZ wagon just said. There's a Sandman ute right down the back.
Oh, really? Another Sandman.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the US, we had actual big vans, and I haven't actually seen any like larger vans here in Australia. You know, tall, you know, our typical big GMC
big
or
Dodge
Dodge
van.
vans. Is this the like your version of that?
Pretty well, yeah. This is
It
what
was back in the day.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
not so much these days.
Yeah.
But back in the 70s and that like they use these for delivery vans,
Electricians, plumbers.
plumbers, anything, mechanics.
Look at this thing. It's pretty awesome. You basically just take a ute and just add about a meter, almost a meter of roof to it.
Yeah, and that's basically it.
Bone simple.
Sounds about right.
This one's automatic, looks like, huh? Tons of space back there. You could live back there, no problem. This was the hippie van of Australia right here. Dude, this is a style of car that does not exist in the US, really. You know, we have our wagons, you know, for the 70s.
Yeah.
But it was not like, you know, to have an entire class of car that is a tall wagon meant for, like, delivery. And it's just awesome. Especially the panel version. I think
Yeah.
that looks sporty, you know.
Yeah.
We got some engines back here. We got a bear just sitting on a tray back here.
The Ford Barra is the most legendary Australian performance engine ever made because it can handle obscene amounts of power without failing. It is built like an absolute tank.
I'm just out here hanging out with kangaroos and Holdens and Barra engines and Ford Falcons. This may be the most Australian moment of my, well, definitely my life.
It was a great day, despite the fact that we got no work done on a ute that was way far behind.
Watch out for the ants nest standing there, Dave.
Oh yeah, I see him. That's a pretty big ant's nest that I was standing basically on. Good thing I'm not afraid of ants.
Yeah, meat ants.
They're what ants?
Meat ants.
What is it? Meat?
Ants.
So they'd be, okay.
They eat meat.
They eat meat. Okay, great. That's good to know.
If you stand there for a while, make
Yeah, all right. Good to know. Good to know. Maybe I should be afraid of ants. Australia, man. Everything is trying to kill you, apparently. Apparently it's true. Just grabbing this tarp here from the grass. And what do we have there? Look at that thing. It's probably one crawling like right near my hand. Look at the eyes. All right, we are towing the ute from Lawrence's mom's place to his place. We've already got the parts ute there. Oh my God, this is the most redneck shit I've ever seen. Lawrence doing a bit of a what, Lawrence?
Shed skid?
Shed skid. That's an actual thing in Australia, by the way, a shed skid. People do burnouts in their own garages. Nice. Oh, he's doing a four-wheel shed skid. Here we are working on the ute, and you know, just spotting some normal. This is fairly normal, right?
Australiana?
Fairly normal for Australia to see one of these. Hold on. Look at that thing.
He's harmless.
Now, it's hard to get the full scale of how big it is, but But there's a cell phone, 3-4 inches, something like that. It's,
Yeah?
you know, sizable.
Yeah, it's only a baby.
Everyone in attendance here is totally used to it. Lawrence is fumigating the seat, which is one of the most hideous looking seats I've ever seen. We're just assuming that something lives inside of them. Hence the brake. Is that what that is? Brake cleaner?
Bit of brake cleaner.
Oh,
Bit of
Actually,
eviction
yeah,
notice.
you can see there are plenty of spiders in there, yeah.
Was. Getting there.
Careful. Let's grab. Hold on. All right. Look at that. That's not a bad windscreen there.
Yeah, she'll clean up.
Look at that.
Just a little bit.
A rusty dashboard.
Just a little bit.
That's a part of the car that most people don't assume would rust. All right, so tonight the goal is to remove the rear axle from this Valiant. So basically I've undone the park brake cables. I'm gonna undo the shocks. Once that's done, I'll undo the leaf spring bolts. It's just 4 of them that I'll take care of, and then I'll just roll this axle out. All right, so we have removed the axle from under the Ute. Meanwhile, over here we got HUD doing the real craft work. You putting a patch together here for this quarter?
Yeah, making a patch panel for the quarter.
Okay, what is that? What is that going to involve?
Oh, we're going to put a right angle fold on the bottom of the sheet so we can fit in under there. I'll trim this up nice and clean and weld it in. It'll be strong, but yeah, it won't be that pretty, but
good.
That's safe, that's the main thing.
That is what this vehicle's all about. I'm not seeing any fluid yet. Still no fluid. Oh God, water. Definitely some water. Actually,
Doesn't smell too bad, actually. I smelt worse. Diffs.
there's dirt.
It's a bit of a milkshake.
You know, I've seen worse. That'll do. The teeth look good. There's a lot of crap in there, but you know what? Whatever, it's fine.
Eh.
Just gradually getting the shape closer and closer,
Yeah,
huh?
just getting it closer.
And then you'll eventually just have to cut the fender to
Yeah.
just
gotta
get a
trim
marker.
it. Then I'll just, trim it down. Just put a piece in like a bit of a triangle.
Okay.
Try and keep as much original.
Yeah.
Normally a butt weld is all, but that takes a lot more time and stuff. This I'll just overlap it and just make it in.
Perfect.
Be fine for what we're doing.
Definitely. This isn't a job I'd normally want to do by myself, installing a door, but there's no one else here, and that's just the way it's gonna be. These are holding the door onto the car. As you can see, these are just completely rusted out. And this door was just sitting in the back of this Ute, so a bolt won't actually thread in there. If I try threading a bolt in, it just gets stuck. So I'm using a tap, and I'm actually chasing the threads, as they call it, cleaning the threads out. I'm going to do the same thing to the bolt, and then the bolt will slide right in. Okay, so we have the door in. Lawrence and I worked together to get that lined up. That took forever to get it in a good spot. It's not perfect. You see the belt line sort of drops a little bit here, but the door works. The latch works. That interior panel is pretty whack, but hey, we got a tailgate now. We've got a door. You know, from this angle, it's starting to look like a vehicle, kind of. And remember, before, there was no tailgate, no door. There still is no hood, there's still no fender, there's still no front panels. We're getting there slowly, thanks to this stoner right here. All right, Lawrence is showing us where the engine was sitting for 18 years.
There's a hole.
Oh my God. We're no longer asking, are we, Gordo?
Can't argue it's liquid.
You cannot argue if it's liquid, that's true.